Okay. Anybody else have any public input? All right. Being as we have any, we're going to move on to item 3, consent agenda. Item 3A, approved claims and payroll totaling $856,704.94. Item B, approved minutes, April 17th, 2023 regular, May 1st, 2023 annual organizational meeting. Item C, authorize the purchase of aviation fuel and expend up to $60,000. Item D, authorize the purchase of no lead fuel and diesel fuel and expend up to $30,000. Item E, approve payment to the Oklahoma Municipal Management Services in the amount of $4,200 for payment of invoice number 12030 for inspection services for a period of the 3rd and the 28th of 2023 to the 4th and the 21st of 2023. Item F, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Merrifield Office Products in the amount of up to $6,891.76 for new furniture for the Senior Citizen Center and to authorize payment. Item G, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Motorola Solutions, Inc. in the amount of up to $7,891.93 for two 800 megahertz Motorola radios and appurtenances and to authorize payment. Item H, approve the write-off of outstanding municipal court obligations in the amount of $6,515.70. Item I, acknowledge 5 expiring terms on the Cushing Youth and Community Center Advisory Board. Item J, acknowledge 2 expiring terms on the Cushing Library Board. Item K, acceptance of Airport Rescue Grant 3-40-0023-024-2022 from the Federal Aviation Administration for the Cushing Regional Airport. L, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to BioClean Remediation in the amount of up to $7,438.62 for mold remediation at City Hall and to authorize payment. M, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Interworks, Inc. in the amount up to $7,414.40 for 8 desktop computers and to authorize payment. N, approve certificate of order and authorize the chairman, Board of Commissioners to sign certificate of order, state auditor and inspector form number 127. O, authorize the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Relation Insurance Services, Inc., DBA Premier Consulting Partners for insurance brokerage services and to authorize payment. And item P, statement of cash and investments as of April 30th, 2023. Is there any items that any commissioner would like to remove from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that item K, acceptance of the airport rescue grant, be removed from the consent agenda.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda minus item K.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion's approved. Okay. We're going to move to what we removed from the consent agenda. Acceptance of the rescue grant 3-40-0023-024-2022 from the Federal Aviation Administration for the Cushing Regional Airport. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Sure.
I'd remind the commission that this was an item that came before us. It's a grant for $32,000 that came before you guys before I was on the commission, and it was brought to you by staff, and not at the last minute, but somewhere along the line, it became obvious that there's a mask mandate involved in this one, and it's my opinion the commission rightly refused $32,000 for a number of reasons because of that mask mandate. And as things often happen, the FAA has now rescinded the mask mandate. The $32,000 is still available, and it's probably a good thing to approve that tonight.
Is there any other discussion on item K?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve item K.
I second that, Your Honor. Chairman. Your Honor. That's going to be a habit.
He just left.
Oh, he's still here.
Oh, is he?
He's right back there.
Oh, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Noes? Motion approved. We're going to go to number 5, general business. A, authorize the chairman, Board of Commissioners to execute a labor agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 2565, for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I think you're probably going to wait and come back after executive session. on
Save
that
this
one.
for executives, after executive session, okay? Okay, we're going to move on to 6 resolutions. 6A, resolution number 08-2023, a resolution appointing William W. Arberg as municipal judge of the city of Cushing for the term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
I'll just add those are our judge terms are 2-year terms, and Judge Archberg has been judge for quite a while now, and I in my personal opinion, he does an excellent job, and it's time to renew that.
I move its adoption.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 6B, resolution number 09-2023, a resolution appointing Sidney Wade Shaw as alternative municipal judge of the city of Cushing for the term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025.
Same thing here, Mr. Chairman. Wade Shaw is our backup judge when Judge Arberg's not available, and his term is also up, and he also does a good job when he's here.
Any discussion?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 09-2023.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7, ordinances. 7A, ordinance number 05-15-23-01, an ordinance amending section 4-10 of the Cushing City Code prohibiting the keeping of swine in city limits and certain exceptions, providing for severability and declaring an effective date. We have a discussion about this.
Yes, I have a few things I'd like to bring up. And since I was animal control officer here in this town for 8.5 years, I realized that I've had to deal with some of these things. When you raise a pig that gets up to 150, 200 pounds, it's no longer a pig. And it's very difficult to, I don't think I'm turned on back there. They bring up a good point about the size of the pig, 150 pounds versus a 150-pound dog. The difference being that I can take 3 cc's of Ketaset and dart a 150-pound dog and give it about 2 minutes, and it's going to go to sleep, and I can pick it up. But those drugs will not work on a hog or a pig. Will not. So you cannot dart a hog or pig and put it to sleep to take care of it. I did some studying on these things, and these pigs can live up to 25 years And one thing that seems to be prevalent in all of these studies that I read is that the older the hogs get, the more agitated they become. So it's easier for them when they're out, if they happen to get out, they even get agitated at the owners. Now, I have to commend the owners of these two hogs for the care that they've given their pets. And I went back and forth whether or not I'm for this or against it. But something else come to my mind. If we put a weight limit, we're going to have to strictly enforce that. And something that I've realized that we as commissioners, while we pass things, we never enforce it. It's given to somebody else to enforce it. And our hands will never get dirty. Nobody's going to call me and say, hey, come out and pick up a pig. Not now. And I know where everybody lives at on this commission and on the staff. And I can assure you that somebody moved in close to you with 250-pound hogs, it might be a problem. Now, that being said, one of these days we're going to be confronted with somebody coming up and saying, you allow a 150-pound hog, how about my mini horse that doesn't weigh 150 pounds? Or my mini donkey? Or my mini goats? I had years ago a police officer that wanted to have goats in a nice area of town, and I like, no, you can't have them. But we're going to be faced with that, and there again, our hands will not touch these animals, but the police department will have to, and animal control will have to. So I think that we need to really consider all the things that are going to happen when we probably will pass this thing. I read this ordinance, and the only thing that allows me to change my mind from not voting for it to voting for it is item E, where it says nothing in this section shall be deemed to limit or hinder city or state health enforcement personnel from restricting or removing or requiring the removal of such swine in the city if it's a health risk. We have ordinances on chickens, and we limit where they can be. They can't be within 150 feet of a hotel and motel and a restaurant and a commercial building and all other kinds, not because the chicken weighs 6 pounds, but because of the health risk of what the chickens produce, high ammonia feces. In Oklahoma City right now, just outside, there is a farmer that used hog manure to fertilize with his 40 acres, which hog manure is really good. But guess what? It stinks. And now all the neighbors are wanting to sue. So while they do clean up their area, I guess, there's going to be people in this town that have these that will just not clean up. And even when they pick up the feces from these hogs, it certainly doesn't do anything to the urine that's going to be put out in the ground. And I had a farmer years ago tell me that every time it rains, it will start to stink again. So with that being said, if we can hold the line on this, and if somebody complains that, hey, these hogs moved in next to me and now my daughter has breathing problems, now she has this, that, flies, or whatever the risk may be, keep in mind that we're going to have somebody to remove those hogs. And they're going to have to get rid of them. And they may come back again wanting some kind of extension. But I will go ahead and vote for this if it comes up, with the exception that when this happens, that we all be reminded that we pass something that we're not going to touch, but somebody else has to touch it for us. And I think we need due consideration of that. I yield.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, if none of the other commissioners have any additional discussion, I would concur with. I didn't know what all the argument would be from Chaplain of Commissioner Orton, but I do concur with what he said, that when elected bodies pass ordinances, they pass those responsibilities back on to people out in the field or on staff to carry out the duties and responsibilities as established by the ordinance. I've been on the other side of that. Have been in charge of not just going out and carrying the ordinance out, but also making sure that the ordinance is in fact carried out. This particular situation that was brought up to us, Mrs. Randall came last month, made a very impassioned plea for her 2 potbelly pigs. She is back new to Cushing. She had previously lived in another community, brought the potbelly pigs back here to Cushing. I actually went to a home visit there. Chaplain Commissioner Orton joined me on that home visit because he had interest in seeing what was exactly going on there. Everything was well in order. It was kept. I subsequently went back and actually physically spoke to Mrs. Randall with Assistant Derek Griffith. I had a very extended visit with her. Come back and visit with the city attorney, and we're just simply trying to find a compromise on this particular issue for you all to consider and deal with. If you don't pass this, that's not going to be offensive to us at all. We wanted to give you at least some option to be able to look at the possibility of creating a compromise for this resident or leaving the ordinance itself as is, and then we would have to go back and direct the resident to remove those 2 potbelly pigs. So we're indifferent in terms of what you want to do. We simply wanted to provide you with options to have related to this issue.
Mr. Brandon, what kind of dialogue have you had with the police and the police agency and animal control in relation to this proposed ordinance change?
Sure, I would rather Chief Claxton speak for himself, but I have had dialogue with him, and I certainly don't want to speak for him, but that dialogue has occurred.
Conversation with him and with animal control. For a minute, she was on her way out someplace else, and we didn't have too much to talk about.
Yes, to answer your question, I don't disagree with what Commissioner Orton said. He's worked in those boots, and he knows what that job is all about. The question that you have, just to give you a direct answer, I wrote a letter to the city manager and in support of the changes if the commission does decide to make those changes. Before writing that letter, I did speak with the animal control officer, Amanda Murray, and she supported that as well. She thought that it would be able to be enforced if need be. There is a concern there that whenever a pig reaches 150 pounds, it doesn't stop growing. So that is a concern that is there, that's still there. That I don't think that's going to completely solve this issue later on down the road, but maybe temporarily it will.
Thank you, Chief.
And Commissioners, just to give you a little background, we've had an ordinance allowing potbelly pigs for well over 15 years. And the proposal there that we worked on just changes the weight limit, and then it adds a registration component, which was not in the current ordinance. But other than that, the things about health that Commissioner Orton read, that's in the current ordinance as it is.
Mm-hmm. So the issue that actually originated the overall potbelly pig ordinance in Cushing originated down at 6th and Harrison. There was a young lady down there that had a potbelly pig, and police had directed her to remove that pig because there was a prohibition against that in the city limits. And so there was a lot of dialogue back and forth between that property owner and the city, which resulted in the creation of the ordinance that we have today, less the modifications in terms of the weight in the registry. So again, staff was just trying to give you some options. We're indifferent either way.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, just to give another opinion, I had an employee several years ago that had a potbelly pig, not in Cushing, but she had to fight for the right to keep it in the community she was. And that animal was not just an animal, it was her pet. Mm-hmm. And she was willing to move to a community that was more accepting if she needed to. So I understand where the Randalls are coming from. Mm-hmm. I also understand, your concerns, Commissioner Orton, and respect that. But that bond with your pets is pretty tight.
I think also, too, just to echo what you said, Mrs. Dow, that's why we presented an option for you in case you wanted to, the governing body wanted to actually act on this to find a compromise. There's pluses and minuses to both sides, but that rests with the elected officials to make that final determination.
Is there any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve item 7A.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. All right, we're going to move on to item number 8, other new business, if any, which has arisen since the posting of the agenda and could not have been anticipated prior to the time of this posting. No other new business? Wow. Now I'm down to number 9, city manager's communications.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's see here. Let's see. Where's that? Just a couple things in our report I want to highlight for you, really 6 things while that report's being passed out. The trail project is progressing really well. If you'll notice, the trail itself has actually been completely poured. The parking lot near the pavilion at the log cabin, where the old log cabin sits, has been completely poured. Something you may not notice there, that entire parking lot has been poured. And you're probably thinking, well, there wasn't a change order that cycled through to allow that. The cost per square yard to pour that didn't make any difference where we had the additional square yardage not, so it was all within the budget. So the contractor went ahead and poured the entire deal, which was a huge win for us. That didn't require a change order or any additional funds. That project's about 19 days ahead. Obviously, with the rain, that's going to put a little bit behind in your reports. I have a very detailed report for you on the progress of the trail. On the State Highway 18 project, I want to talk a little bit about that. On the CMA side, you'll see some engineering related costs in there, some very expensive engineering related costs related to the State Highway 18 project. Currently, the plan process is about 62%. We have been working with ODOT now for well over a year. Our water superintendent related to water delivery and sanitary sewer. We have been to ODOT and Perry to participate in meetings with ODOT in Oklahoma City. Our engineer from Tulsa has joined us virtually. But we're at the point now to where it is time to actually do an engagement letter with ODOT's engineer out of Oklahoma City. So they have a separate firm that's actually working on this project for them. I completed all that paperwork last week, submitted it to them. We've since got our work orders from PEC to perform that work. We're simply now waiting for ODOT. Their engineer has approved it. They've sent it now to ODOT to be approved, and then that'll circle back around to us. That is a reimbursable expense for us, but it will not be reimbursed until the end of the project. If you go back to, I believe it was 2020, we first began to do infrastructure work at Deep Rock Road and Highway 18 by relocating sanitary sewer and water then, in anticipation for the improvement from Deep Rock Road all the way up to State Highway 51, then across to the Pawnee County line. If you notice, they've already done an intersection project at 18 and 51. That's going to continue further north. It's going to also continue south back into Cushing to Deep Rock Road. Our project, which will be from North Street, which is behind the Best Western, all the way to Deep Rock Road, is slated to be a 2025 project. So if you stop and think about it, that's right around the corner. And so we're in fast forward motion in terms of working with ODOT to get our infrastructure identified that's going to be in conflict with the project. If you'll recall, in my previous reports, that's going to be transformed into a Super 2 with sidewalks and things like that up and down Highway 18. So it's going to be a really nice road with shoulders as well. So just to highlight some of the additional projects for ODOT, you have the 2023 project, which has occurred now at 1851. That's going to continue north. It's also going to continue south. In 2024, there is slated to be a ultra-thin paving project from Harmony Road to the Creek County line on Highway 33. So by the time that project rolls around, all the work at Harmony and Main will hopefully will be done. 2025 is our project from North Street to Deep Rock Road, and then 2025 will also include grade, drain, bridge, and surface work along that 2-mile stretch north of 33 as well. So a lot of good work potential going on with ODOT and us being back in the 8-year plan, which is a real big step for this community. I want to talk a little bit about our Archie Valley Road Assessment is in. I'll be meeting with Zach Cabot and his road foreman Thursday morning. Derek and I will be, along with our engineer from Tulsa. We plan to have very fruitful and positive discussions with Commissioner Cabot to try to arrive at a particular number related to that. Our sludge handling project at the wastewater plant is about 95% complete. Haynes will be here tomorrow to do some additional work out there. It looks like the contractors will be finished by June 1st. So if you haven't had a chance to get out there and look at that project and look at the big vessels that we have out there, and the polymer vessel, would really encourage you to get out there and take a look at that if you have time. And we would be glad to join you out there to do that tour. Last thing I want to talk about is stormwater runoff. I received notice yesterday evening regarding a social media post that had been posted on Facebook regarding a significant stormwater runoff over at the 1300 block of East Walnut Street. Once I learned about that runoff and the issues there, I went over there to that resident and tried to contact someone. I didn't reach anybody. I left a business card there. I went back there this morning with Derek. We were there by 7:15 this morning, knocking on the door to contact a resident, and we actually spoke to someone, gave her the reassurance that we were going to do the things necessary to try to help remedy that problem. I think there's going to be some challenges up there. I in turn reached out to ODOT first thing this morning when I got to the office, was able to get Trenton January here, who is the project lead for Division 4 for all of Payne County. He also brought in Matt Mitchell, who's one of the top engineers in Division 4. They met Derek and I out there. We were out there for about an hour this morning, just touring that entire area, looking at some potential solutions. And so met Chairman Lofton out there this afternoon and gave him a tour of the area. Commissioner Brandon also stopped by while we were out there and looked that area over. So just want you to know that we are working with them to find a solution, an expedited solution, because it is causing problems. I'm going to say use the term downstream, but there are some significant runoff issues with stormwater there. So we're going to work as quickly and diligently as possible with ODOT to either partner on something to resolve it, or come back and consider taking the matter into our hands if there's no action from ODOT. So would entertain any questions if you have any.
Anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. We'll move on to item 10, Commissioners' Committee announcements. Commissioner Ward.
I would like to make everybody aware that school is fixing to be out. And so keep your eye on the children. They're going to be hopefully riding their bikes and skateboards and doing what children do. And we need to be vigilant that nobody gets hurt this summer. And Aqua Center is ready to go. And they'll be swimming and all the good things that go with that. So we're very blessed in Cushing to have things for our children and things that our adults can send their kids down and go have fun and leave me alone. There you go.
Just want to congratulate Officer Walker one more time. Also want to welcome and congratulate Commissioner Dow. And then just give a reminder to everyone that Cushing Pride Recycling is this Sunday from 12 to 2.
Okay. Again, I'd like to congratulate Officer Walker. It's kind of nice to have a new police officer come in at the same time that I am. And thank the community, the commissioners for the confidence in having me join them once again. I had several members of the community a while back start planting a seed in my mind that we need a woman up here, you need a woman up there. And I said, no way. And then finally I decided that, yes, okay, we still needed to have a voice in the community that might have a higher pitch to it. As you mentioned, school's almost out, and I would like to encourage everyone that has children, or even if you're an adult, take advantage of the library program. They have a very strong reading program that begins very shortly, and it is not only open to youth and children, but they always encourage adults to come be a part of it as well. Thank you.
No comments.
Really?
The only thing I'd like to do is congratulate Officer Walker for being part of the team. Welcome aboard, and thank you for signing up for another tour of duty. Thank you very much. Deeply appreciated. And with that, I believe we need to recess. We're going to recess the City of Cushing Board of Commissioners meeting at 7:40. We're going to open the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, Cushing Municipal Authority. Madam Clerk, would you call roll?
Mr. Robertson?
Present.
Ms. Dow?
Present.
Mr. Freeman?
Present.
Mr. Orton?
Present?
Chairman Austin?
Present. We do have a quorum. Do we have any public input?
We do not. We do not, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We're going to move to item number 3, consent agenda. 3A, approved claims and payroll totaling $1,005,449.69. Item B, approved minutes, April 17th, 2023, regular. May 1st, 2023, the annual organizational meeting. Item C, authorize the purchase of diesel fuel for the power plant and to expend up to $25,000. Item D, approve the budget amendment, amend the fiscal year 2022-2023 Fund 250 budget for electric sales and GRDA power purchases. Item E, approve budget amendment, amend the fiscal year 2022-2023 Fund 252 budget for SH18 water line replacement. Item F, approve budget amendment, amend the fiscal year 2022-2023 Fund 252 budget for State Highway 18 sewer relocation and design services. Item G, acknowledge receipt of ODEQ permit number SL 000060230250 for the construction of 2,946 lineal feet of 12-inch PVC sanitary sewer line and all appurtenances to serve the Old Drake sanitary sewer replacement. Item H, authorize the city manager to execute work order number 23-01A in an amount up to $190,500 for engineering services associated with the relocation of existing water lines in conflict with the proposed widening of State Highway 18 within the city limits of the City of Cushing and to authorize payment. Item I, authorize the city manager to execute work order number 23-01B in an amount up to $134,500 for engineering services associated with the relocation of existing sewer lines in conflict with the proposed widening of State Highway 18 within the city limits of the City of Cushing and to authorize payment. Item J, approve payment to Starks Electric in the amount of $8,742.47 for emergency breaker repair at the electric production plant. Item K, approve request for special assistance on refuse carryout at 704 East Maple Street. L, authorize the city manager to execute amendment number 1 to Border States on contract number CU-22-12M to increase the amount by $15,000 for the deposits of 5 metal reels and to authorize payment. N, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Core and Main in the amount of up to $14,612.07 for materials for the water line replacement project along the south side of Main Street, State Highway 33, between Jones Street and J. Rubenstein Avenue. Item N, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Annexter in the amount of $15,000 for 48 count single mode fiber optic cable and to authorize payment. O, approve payment to Baldwin Poles in the amount of $39,600 for wood poles for the electric distribution department. Item P, approve payment to GRDA in the amount of $13,532.09 for transformer testing for the Harmony Road substation. Q, authorize the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Relation Insurance Services, Inc., DBA Premier Consulting Partners for insurance brokerage services and to authorize payment. R, non-pay utility report for the city operations and public facilities for 04/30/23 billing period. Item S, recognized statement of cash and investments as of April 30th, 2023. Is there any items any trustee would like to remove from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that item 8 and H and item H and item I be removed from the consent. Both those are engineering services.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda minus items H and I.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're going to go to items removed from the consent agenda. Item H, authorize the city manager to execute work order number 23-01A in the amount up to $190,500 for engineering services associated with the relocation of existing water lines in conflict with the proposed widening of State Highway 18 within the city limits of the city of Cushing and to authorize payment.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Sure.
I ask that these be removed just to discuss a little bit about being a naive new appointee to the commission and being a trustee. It just seemed like $190,000 for engineering services to lay a water line was a lot of money, and the same thing with the sewer line, $135,000. At first, I thought that was going to be the cost for doing it, and then I saw that it was really just the cost for thinking about doing it. And you know, being from the oil field, you lay water lines all the time. But then when I looked at the packet that's provided the commissioners and saw all the details that are going to have to be done to move those two lines, it made perfect sense. I guess what I'm expressing is that citizens often don't know what all goes into doing this, and the staff should be commended for getting ahead of the game and getting these utilities moved before it's time to improve the road. I mean, they really had to hustle to get Main Street done, and I just commend the staff for doing it. After I looked at the amount of money and the amount of work involved in that, it makes perfect sense. I'm going to vote when we come time to vote to approve that. I'd like to maybe have staff talk a little bit about what's involved in doing that, and I appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Commissioner Marion. And I'm just going to read just specifically from the cover sheet. So this was some of the detail that we provided to the trustees that are on this project, specifically for water lines. There'll be relocation of approximately 10,000 linear feet of water lines from sizes from 2-inch to 12-inch in diameters, because the roadway itself is going to be widened and have shoulders. And so some of our existing utilities are going to be in conflict, kind of like it was up on Main Street. So those things will have to be moved. And then water lines larger than 4 inches will be still encased at locations crossing the highway. A lot of people probably don't give that a lot of thought, but anytime we have infrastructure that runs under Main Street, or say example Harmony Road, you know, if you have a road that's used a lot, we may encase that water line to protect it and add to its life. And so when you go to the sanitary sewer side, and I'll take this right off the cover sheet there too, so it's clear, but there'd be relocation of approximately 7,300 linear feet of 8-inch PVC sanitary sewer line and manhole structures. So when you do one, you do the other. Because of the widening on the road, the existing 8-inch sewer line will not be abandoned, will be abandoned in place, and any existing manhole structures that are no longer in service will be abandoned or actually demolished. Again, this is in conjunction with the widening of that road, and I appreciate your comments, because I can tell you that Cushing was getting ready to fall off the 8-year construction plan, and members of this, some of you members of this board are still here when we came back on bended knee and said we're in a 9-line bond and we need money to get this project back on track. And getting that project back on track brought in all the other things that I mentioned a while ago. So I appreciate the acknowledgement for the staff that's worked really hard to get all this back on track where it needs to be for the betterment of Cushing, 25, 30 years from now. So.
And I just say, I've watched the commission over the years, and we're a small town in a lot of ways, and we don't have the resources to have full-time engineering management and all that, and that's part of the built-in cost on these engineering services. And it's a wise decision probably for Cushing to contract those out. And so whenever you see $300,000 or $190,000, it takes your breath away, and you just have to bore down and look at it in detail and see what you're really buying. When it comes time, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that H and I both be adopted.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I have a motion to approve item H and item I.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Is there any other new business we need to discuss?
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 8:52.
7:57.
Or 7:52. I'm wishing my life away. Now we're going to call to order the joint meeting of the Cushing Industrial Authority, Board of Trustees, and the Cushing Hospital Authority. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Robertson?
Present?
Ms. Dow?
Present.
Mr. Brandon?
Present.
Mr. Orton?
Present.
Chairman Lofton?
Present. We do have a quorum. Item number 2, we're going to consent agenda. Item 2A, approve CIA claims totaling $8,333.33. Item B, approve the minutes, April 17th, 2023, special meeting of the CHA and CIA Board of Trustees, May 1st, 2023, CHA Annual Organizational Meeting, May 1st, 2023, CIA Annual Organizational Meeting. Item C, authorize the Chairman, Board of Trustees to execute a change order for number 1 to increase the contract by $14,532 with J. Lee Enterprises for the Memorial Park Walking Trail and to authorize payment. Is there any items any trustee would like to remove from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second from Trustee Orton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 4, general business.
Mr. Chairman, I have an announcement on that before you read that.
Okay, go ahead.
I've had a request from Laura Green that item be stricken for consideration by the board.
Okay. So we're going to skip item 4A. which puts us at number 5, executive session. 5A, executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307C11 to discuss matters pertaining to economic development, including financial assistance to entice a business for community and economic development. Special presentation by Economic Development Director Bruce Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I move we enter executive session on 5A.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourning that one at 7:49. Oh, 7:55, let's call it that. And we're going to reconvene. The City of Cushing Board of Commissioners meeting. Going to go to item 11, executive session, 11A, executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B2 to discuss the status of negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, IAFF, Local 2565, for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Item B, executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B2 to discuss the status of negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, Lodge 106 for the fiscal year July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. And item 11C, executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B4 to discuss claim of Crina LLC DBA Lazy L Motel.
Mr. Chairman, I suggest we strike item C on that right now. We just turned that into our insurance like last Thursday, and we haven't heard back from OMAG on that.
Okay, so we're going to strike C from it.
Mr. Chairman, I move we enter executive session on items 11A and B.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are now entering executive session at 7:52 or 7:58. I can't tell time, but thank you all for coming.
Here, use these.
Hey, Chief Novotny,
Is it
we're gonna do Bruce first, and then one.